What's up guys, Mike here, and today we're looking at a player I've wanted to talk about for a long time. Because Michael Jordan himself has said that growing up, he idolized David Thompson. There was a time where it looked like David Thompson had a chance to become a top 10 player in NBA history. But then, of course, something went wrong. So that's what we're gonna dive in today, guys. Before that, I do wanna say, make sure to leave a like if you like this video. It helps out a ton. And if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on so you do not miss a video. And for now, let's jump into this video. Michael Jordan is considered by many, including me, to be the greatest basketball player in NBA history. And I'm sure, as you guys all know, the way that Jordan captivated the imagination of NBA fans around the world needs no introduction. But what might be little known is who Jordan's biggest influence was, because there is a player that Michael Jordan has stated multiple times that was his basketball idol. A player who was actually one of the most talented players to ever step foot on a basketball court, but ultimately had his career cut short. And without this player, we might never have seen the full version of Michael Jordan. And so at this point, instead of keeping you guys hanging, I am going to introduce to you the man, the myth, the legend, David Thompson, aka a player who went by the name of Skywalker. Because although short by basketball standards, David Thompson had a 44-inch vertical jump, a precise shooting touch, and lightning quick speed. Rumor has it that he was even able to knock a quarter off the top of a backboard. And in college, during his career at NC State, David Thompson would establish himself as one of the greatest players college basketball has ever seen. In his 3 seasons, he would average a combined 26.8 points per game and shot 55.3% from the field. An insane stat line considering that many argued he was a 6'2" shooting guard. And during his career in college, many have actually attributed the popularity of the alley-oop to David Thompson, as during one practice, David Thompson's point guard tossed the ball in the air to Thompson, and after a monster dunk, Thompson's own head coach had to stop practice to share his amazement. That is how athletic David Thompson was, and looking at his college career, his most impressive season would be his sophomore season, as NC State would lose just 1 game and looked like legitimate championship favorites until this play. Yes, you can see that while hanging in the air, Thompson would come down crashing hard and was actually unconscious at one point. Many people watching this play thought that Thompson's career was in serious jeopardy, but miraculously, he would not even miss a single game. And then came the Final Four, because in the Final Four, NC State matched up against Bill Walton and UCLA. Now, if you don't know, UCLA was the powerhouse of college basketball at the time, and were in the middle of a streak in which they won 7 straight national championships. 7! And from 1971 to 1974, UCLA won 88 consecutive games in a row. To this day, college basketball has not seen a dynasty quite like the Bruins had, but the Bruins streak would come to an end in the Final Four thanks to the play of David Thompson. Thompson would score 28 points and pull down 10 boards and hit the game-winning shot in double overtime. Bill Walton would say about this loss over 40 years later, quote, "That failure has plagued me and it is a stigma on my soul and there's no way I can get rid of it." Walton went on to say that the only player John Wooden ever mentioned by name in the scouting report from the NC State team before that Final Four game was David Thompson. That is how good he was. So in that year, NC State would win the national championship, and in 1975, David Thompson would become the #1 overall pick of both the ABA and NBA draft. It was a tough decision of what league to go to for David, but after the Atlanta Hawks decided to have their contract meeting with him in a McDonald's, Thompson was off to the ABA and Denver. And in his first and only ABA season, he would have one of the greatest rookie seasons in professional basketball history, because as a rookie, he averaged 26 points, 6.3 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1.6 steals, and 1.2 blocks a game. And yes, I understand he was playing in the ABA, but there was still a lot of talent in the ABA at the time. And when you look at this stat line, only 3 other other players in ABA/NBA history were ever able to accomplish this. Here's the chart. The 3 other players are Larry Bird, Julius Erving, and David Robinson. With this said, Thompson also lost the first dunk contest ever and the 1976 ABA Finals to Julius Erving, but despite this, and despite the fact that many people in the NBA at the time thought that it was going to be Dr. J who had the biggest impact of the NBA/ABA merger, it was actually David Thompson who came to the NBA and made the biggest impact. As in the 1977 season, Thompson led the Nuggets to 50 wins and was just 22 years old. He did this while also averaging around 26 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds per game, and was named first team All-NBA in his first season in the NBA. And at this point at least, Thompson was not done yet, as in the 1978 season, he would average a career-high 27.2 points per game and finished 3rd in the MVP voting, 1 spot ahead of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. At this point, he was just 23 years old, and when it comes down to it, Thompson has a very legitimate argument of being the best shooting guard in the history of the NBA at 23 years old. And if you don't believe me, one, you have to remember that Michael Jordan broke his foot when he was 23 years old, so he's out of the equation here. But as for the rest of the great shooting guards, this chart really shows it all. At 23, David Thompson was clearly ahead of Kobe, Allen Iverson, and Tracy McGrady. The only player I would put right there with Thompson was Dwayne Wade, but again, Thompson finished 3rd in the MVP voting that season and was named first team All-NBA to Wade's second team. Let's emphasize the fact here that Thompson was a back-to-back All-NBA first team selection in his first 2 seasons in the league. This was a huge deal. Not even Michael Jordan or LeBron James has done this, and what made David Thompson even more impressive was that he put up individual stats while also playing a very team-oriented style of basketball. This was demonstrated by the 50 wins in Thompson's first season and by the fact that in 1978, Thompson's second season, Denver would actually become the first former ABA team to win a playoff series before falling to Seattle in the conference finals. This is also demonstrated in a quote by Thompson's former teammate and Hall of Fame player Dan Izzo, who stated, "All of his teammates loved him because he helped you win games and he was the type of player that made everyone on the court better, not a player who subtracted from everyone else on the team to get his stats." On top of this, we have yet to mention that during the 1978 season, Thompson would score 73 points against the Detroit Pistons. On that night, he also scored 32 points in the first quarter, had 53 points at halftime, and had people legitimately believing that he was going to break 100 points for the night. To this day, that is the most points scored in an NBA game by a player not named Wilt Chamberlain or Kobe Bryant. And at this point, you have to be asking the question, what went wrong? Because after the 1978 season, Thompson's value was at an all-time high, and at just 23 years old, the Denver Nuggets would make David Thompson the highest paid player in NBA history at the time. Which means, here we are. David Thompson is on top of the basketball world. He's the highest paid player in the NBA. By all accounts, it looks like he is going to be one of the best players that basketball has ever seen. However, it was at this point that things began to spiral. With this huge contract and with the rise of drugs in the NBA, suddenly David Thompson's career fell off tremendously. As it turns out, the 1978 season would be the last season that Thompson was not only named first team All-NBA, but named any type of All-NBA altogether. And after a combination of drug use and injuries took their toll, by the time he was just 27 years old, Thompson was averaging under 15 points per game and had clearly established himself as one of the biggest disappointments to ever play in the NBA. That is a rough statement to make, I know, but it's true. This is a man who had all of the potential in the world, and unfortunately, he would let drugs ruin everything. And right now, I do want to credit Bill Simmons here because the charts I showed you guys earlier were from Bill Simmons' book of basketball, and now let's look at another chart. Here is a projection of what Bill Simmons thought David Thompson's career might look like if drugs were not a problem. Yes, you can see here on this chart, if Thompson were to develop like a normal NBA All-Star were to develop without a drug problem, he would suddenly find himself averaging well over 30 points per game in back-to-back seasons, and from there, who knows, the sky was really the limit. I mean, at this point, Thompson would seriously be on pace to be a top 20 player in NBA history, but it just never happened. talent. And if Thompson was fully healthy and off drugs, it is insane to think just how different the 1980s would be with Thompson in his prime. We would have seen David Thompson battling against Magic, Bird, Dr. J, Kareem, and eventually Michael Jordan as Denver competed for NBA titles right alongside the Lakers, Celtics, and Sixers. Unfortunately though, we will never know how successful David Thompson's career would have been, and in my opinion, he will remain arguably the greatest basketball what-if story right next to Len Bias. With this entire story done though, I do want to say thankfully there is a happy ending here. David Thompson is now 30 plus years sober, and even after his downfall, he still remained Michael Jordan's idol. As Jordan himself has said,
I think it elevated through the years. When it got to me, I took it another step, and now you got kids that are taking it even on a higher scale. So it's a little David Thompson in all of us.
And there we have it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. I've wanted to tell this story of David Thompson for a long time because I think he really is one of the lost talents in NBA history. So it was cool to finally share his story. With that said, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe and turn notifications on. Just click the bell right here so you don't miss a video. And if you're already subscribed, if you've already been watching the videos, thank you so much. Your support means the world to me. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, guys, and cue that music. By the way, if you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are going to love watching. All you have to do is just click on either one of them on the screen right here. And other than that, guys, again, have a great day and peace.